We are live. It's the second hour of the Alex Jones Show, and we have Roger Stone, the one and only, live in studio. Good to meet you, Roger. Now,
great to be here.
Get into first what you just mentioned there. Bill O'Reilly looks like he's hanging by a thread at this point. People have predicted his demise for a while now. He's been sailing at the top of Fox News, 4 million viewers every single night, basically. We've had this recent controversy, but it's not what it seems. There's been this campaign behind the scenes, and now it's spilled over publicly. Media Matters. This is a group that constantly attacks us on a daily basis. They have people literally listening to the show every minute, transcribing everything. We know the origin of Media Matters. It's an Obama front group. They used to meet with the Obama administration on a weekly basis. They bragged about how they would write the editorial slant for MSNBC and all these big nightly news shows. This is not a media organization. This is a political operative group, and now they're basically celebrating the fact that they've brought down O'Reilly, as it looks like he's set to be at least let go by Fox News. What's your take on this?
Well, I think that's very accurate. Media Matters, of course, is a group of Clintonista apologists. They apologize for anything. They'll do anything necessary to cover up the various crimes of the Clintons. It is run by a misfit named David Brock, who in the day was actually a conservative operative, friend of mine, until he figured out he couldn't make any money on the right, so he shifted to the left, a total mercenary. It is reported recently that he suffered a heart attack, and he has not been seen or heard from recently. I have my own suspicions about his health problems, but I don't think they're heart attack related. In any event, they are crowing, I think, a little prematurely. As you know, Bill O'Reilly has been a cash cow for Fox. I mean, he is their leading ratings generator. I'm not particularly an O'Reilly fan on a personal basis. His book on the Kennedy assassination is completely and totally wrong. It's the conventional wisdom. By the way, Lee Harvey Oswald did it, and he acted alone. That's what O'Reilly thinks.
Didn't O'Reilly start off as like a muckraker regarding the JFK assassination?
He did, and there's some discrepancies in his own description, because he claims that he was in Palm Beach when the House Select Committee on Assassinations was seeking to subpoena a key witness in the 70s, and that witness committed suicide. O'Reilly said he was on the doorstep of the Palm Beach home where this witness killed himself, but unfortunately, proof shows that he was on the air in Dallas at that time, and no one, even me, can be in two places at once. In any event, I do think that that there is an orchestrated campaign of smear against O'Reilly. We saw this in the case of Roger Ailes as well. And it's very clear to anyone who watches Fox that they are missing the leadership of Roger Ailes. Ailes is the man who formulated Fox into a powerhouse, the powerhouse on the right, and has made Fox extremely profitable for Rupert Murdoch and his family. This same kind of campaign of half-truth and smear was utilized at Ailes, who picked up and left. And I think he got $30 million on his way out the door. So this is the high-pressure tactics. Now, some of you may remember Media Matters for America crowed about the fact that they had me banned at CNN, they had me banned at MSNBC. Little known was the fact that I broke the MSNBC ban last week when I was on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, Meet the Press Daily. A performance that I'm quite proud of. I thought he was entirely fair and professional, but obviously the boycott at MSNBC, as orchestrated by Media Matters, was broken. They don't seem to be crowing about that anyplace, but I just did. In any event, I'm hopeful that they will not get O'Reilly. It's interesting to me, if you see the demonstrators outside of Fox, they have all these pre-printed signs.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem very grassroots to me, Paul. Not at all.
The thing that comes up for me again and again is, the left uses the fact that the right has principles. They use that against us because they don't have any. So it's always about the personal attack, isn't it? You very rarely see people on the right going after people on the left in terms of personal attacks. You've seen it more recently. I mean, Chuck Johnson, Cernovich have said we should just use their tactics, go after people's personal lives, expose their sexual scandals, but it's not really been a tactic of the right you know, over the past 10, 15, 20 years. But the left always resort to that personal, snipey attack, don't they? Because, again, they can't compete on a level playing field with just the political argument.
Yeah, I reject those. I don't want to attack anybody personally, with the possible exception of Anna Navarro, because she is so epically abusive to everyone she meets: waiters, doormen, gaffers, hairstylists, makeup people. She's a diva, and I don't like abusive people. But putting her aside, I agree with you. I'm not interested in the sexual foibles of the leaders of the left. I could care less. It's a free country. I'm a libertarian as well as a libertine. And what happens in people's bedrooms is their own business. I don't think I ought to be in the political realm. That said, however, what really bothers me about the left today is that their answer for everything is censorship.
Yeah.
In other words, they can't argue on the basis of ideas. They can't argue on the basis of issues, so they have to silence us. They're trying to do so through Facebook, through Google, through these kinds of campaigns being run against O'Reilly. Censorship, to me, seems to be fundamentally un-American. We allow everybody a voice. This is a flagrant, egregious violation of the First Amendment. It's interesting to me that the left has come so far. It used to be that they were the ones arguing for civil liberties. They were the ones arguing for the First Amendment. And now their answer is to silence us, to ban us. Banning anybody is a bad idea, in my opinion.
They are the new Puritans. Oh, talking about the left and, you know, the crazy stuff that they get away with. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's an MSNBC guest, if you can flash that article back up on screen, called in a tweet for ISIS to bomb a Trump building. So Trump, there he is right there. He called in a tweet. This is a counter-terrorism analyst on MSNBC, Malcolm Nance.
Yes.
So there's a Trump Tower in Istanbul. This is my nominee for first ISIS suicide bombing of a Trump property. This is a guy who's acted as an apologist for Islamist terrorists after every single major attack. He downplayed the Nice attack where the guy, you know, plowed a truck through 80-odd people as just a grievance against a twisted society or whatever. He's openly calling for ISIS to suicide bomb a Trump property. Bearing in mind that, you know, probably 10,000 people, innocent people, just going to work and doing their job, are in this building, and he's calling for that. Absolutely insane. New York Times, a few days ago, called for Trump to just leave ISIS alone in Syria. What is it with the far left increasingly moving towards this kind of hysterical pro-Islamist rhetoric?
And where's Media Matters for America? Why aren't they calling for this fellow to be suspended? Why is he still on the payroll at MSNBC? No, the left is completely hypocritical. They scan, you're absolutely right, they monitor this program, they monitor Media Matters America, every, you know, rural radio broadcast that I may do. I know exactly who's opening my press releases and how many times. By the way, we know where you live too, it's creepy in a way. It's very, it's heavy-handed, it's nasty, it's personal, but those are the tactics that they choose to employ. Yet they turn around and they accuse us of being the abuser. In other words, in this entire past election year, what interests me is how consistently the left would specifically accuse us of doing precisely those things that they are doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Whether it is John Podesta saying, well, Trump and his associates are in bed with the Russians. No, John, it's you and your brother Tony and the Clintons who are in bed with the oligarchs close to Vladimir Putin. It's you and your brother Tony who are literally making millions out of your association with Vladimir Putin. Very clever, because you see it sends the mainstream media on a wild goose chase, examining whether Trump and associates have any ties with Russia. We don't, while ignoring the very real financial ties of Hillary's crowd with the Kremlin.
It is creepy. I mean, it's kind of stalker-like behavior where they try to find out any little tiny detail about your private life and then mine it for information. Like, you know, I've got a friend who they were trying to get information about him to try and get to me because I refused to do interviews with a lot of these people. And they were going through his Facebook page, you know, 5 years before, in 2012, when this was basically a kid. He was 18 years old, posting pictures of himself drunk when he was 18 on Facebook. They were asking him questions about that. They were asking him questions about his parents. This was Vice magazine. And it's this like weird, creepy, stalkerish behavior that they engage in to try to sink people's personality, to try and demonize something they did 5 years ago that doesn't even relate to anything they're doing now.
Yeah, I had a perfect example of this. Was a brilliant young writer and researcher for Donald Trump named Sam Nunberg. Nunberg had some intemperate posts on his Facebook page 5 years ago, long before he came into the employ of Trump, that related to the Reverend Al Sharpton. And unfortunately, Media Matters for America dug this stuff up, fed it to a number of reporters. It was ultimately written. This caused Nunberg to lose his job in the Trump entourage. I'm proud to say that I was ultimately able to get Nunberg and Reverend Sharpton together. Sharpton is a Christian, and he is a forgiving man, and the appropriate apologies were rendered, and it's now a past matter. But it's a perfect example of how the left takes out somebody who's extremely effective. Sam Nunberg is one of the most effective researcher, writer, operatives that I know.
Okay, we'll be back with Roger Stone in the next segment. Going to talk about Chelsea Clinton and how they're trying to rebrand her yet again to shove the Clinton legacy, the Clinton royal family, down the throats of Americans. We will be back live, InfoWars.com. Don't go away. We are back live on the Alex Jones Show with Roger Stone. Before we get back to Roger, just want to tell you about Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. It's selling out fast at InfoWarsLife.com. We still have it 25% off while supplies last. That is in addition to the Easter mega specials that we have extended, but they will expire tonight. We have Survival Shield X2 still available. Again, we're under constant assault on a daily basis. Get the products. We're not funded by big fat checks cut by George Soros. We don't take money from Gulf state dictatorships like CNN to fund ourselves. We sell nutritional supplements, which people leave 5-star reviews for on InfoWarsLife.com. It supports the growth, the survival of this broadcast, and we really appreciate you getting the products at InfoWarsLife.com. Roger Stone.
Well, before we leave that, Paul, I've got to put in yet another plug for Brain Force, because I must tell you, my entire trip from Texas to Texas this week, and I've got a very heavy schedule, would be impossible without this supplement. I really find that it is both mentally and physically energizing, almost refreshing. So I urge anybody who wants to help us in this fight against censorship and this fight against really totalitarianism that some would seek to impose on this country. You can help yourself and you can help us. Grab these great products at the InfoWars.com store. I personally recommend Brain Force. I would not be without it. It really is a great, great product.
No, I mean, I did the whole show on Monday, you know, jet lag, 2 hours sleep, popped a couple of Brain Force right before. Absolute mental clarity. It works every single time. And
yes,
it's highly recommended. It's 30% off until tonight only at InfoWarsStore.com. Support us by getting the products. Roger, we got a few minutes left. Variety magazine had Chelsea Clinton on the cover again, and the tweet that accompanied the images, "Isn't she cool? Look at Chelsea Clinton. She's so hip and cool." People didn't buy it. Even BuzzFeed had to admit that people are just sick to the back teeth of the Clintons, full stop. What's your take?
Well, the real fundamental problem is that Chelsea Clinton is dumb as a brick and endlessly abusive, according to the New York Post. Evidently, the Clinton Foundation has had problems keeping employees because she is such an abusive diva. Now, the plan for her is to move her to a suburban Westchester, New York County district and have her run for Congress. If that happens, I'm highly confident that Danny Williams, the abandoned son of Bill Clinton, intends to move to that same district, which is 40% African-American, and will be throwing his ring in the hat for Congress in the Democratic primary opposing Chelsea Clinton. It would be a great forum for a discussion of how the Clintons have abandoned this African-American boy who is Bill's son, and how Chelsea, intends to, I guess, inherit that rough to $400 to $500 million that her parents have essentially stolen since leaving the presidency. This is a contest, Danny Williams versus Chelsea Clinton, that we can look forward to.
And what has she achieved apart from being a consultant for the Clinton Foundation? She hasn't actually achieved anything beside that.
But
right?
she was paid $600,000 for NBC when the parent company, which owned NBC at the time, General Electric, had a defense contract on Hillary Clinton's desk for approval, a multi-million-dollar contract. So she herself has been, involved as a facilitator of some of these massive bribes.
John Ossoff in Georgia, the District 6 special election, unsuccessful. The question people are asking, are Democrats ever going to win again?
Yeah, this was their opportunity. Kansas, the Kansas district was very close. It's really a shame because, in retrospect, I now realize that Mike Pompeo should never have left Congress. He should have stayed there. I don't think he's up to the job of CIA director. He almost demonstrated that definitively last week when he said that WikiLeaks is a Russian asset. No, Mr. Director, it isn't, and there's no evidence, and your friends there at the CIA can produce no evidence to that effect. But the Republicans even woke up to the Georgia district late, and they still managed to pull it out. I think the two great opportunities for the Democrats have been blown here. Here, they think they have Donald Trump on the ropes. He's certainly taking a beating in the mainstream media, although I would argue completely holding his own, and the Democrats still can't pull off a victory.
You've got an event coming up tonight, San Antonio. We got 30 seconds. Just tell us about that.
Actually, it's tomorrow night. I am tomorrow night in San Antonio, Texas, from 5:30 to 9 at the Artesa at Quarry Village, which is 300 East Bass Road, Suite 1143 in San Antonio. Organized by Republicans in Bexar County. We're going to have some speaking. We're going to have some Q&A. We're going to be signing some books.
Okay, sounds exciting.
Please come by.
We're going to wrap it up. Everybody turn up for that event. We will be back live in the next segment.
On the march.